we're talking about a lot of different ways for guys to get to the premier tour, the premier golf tour in the world, which is the PGA Tour. And it's a little bit of a challenge right now because not only is it so hard to get on the PGA Tour, but then once you're there, it's hard to play in a lot of these bigger events, these, big ones, unless you really play really well early on.
Right.
So what they implemented, I think it was like 3 years ago, was PGA Tour University. And this is going to be my bogey of the week because I do think the PGA Tour needs to do a lot better at getting younger players up through the ranks quicker. Now, it got better with some of the things they announced today. I do think it gave them more opportunities. But in every other professional league, there's easy avenues for guys to quickly come up in the league. I mean, and if you, we're relating it to the NFL because that's the biggest thing, but, guys go and make an impact pretty quickly in that league. Now, it's a team sport. It's different. Totally understand that. But, what they did basically with PGA Tour U is they said, players who are eligible to graduate, meaning you've been there for 3 years and you can either graduate early or you've completed 4 years at college, they have a ranking system. And the top 15 players earn some sort of status. The top 5 earn Korn Ferry status for the rest of the season, thus getting them into the Korn Ferry finals and stuff like that. Then 6 through 15 get some sort of conditional status as well as status on Latin American tour. So it's cool, but what does that really fucking give them?
Yeah.
And then here's an example. And this is, I don't think this debunks my argument, but some people might be like, this is why you're an idiot, Sam. Pierceson Coody, University of Texas, he was number 1 on PGA Tour U. Graduated this year, got status on the Korn Ferry Tour, played in 3 events. Missed the cut in the first event, T4 in the second event, and then won this past week. So cool, awesome. Great story. He just made some good money. You think that's a pretty good avenue. Sam, you're an idiot, right? Well, if you look at the freaking Korn Ferry Tour rankings, he's not even in the top 25 yet, which means he hasn't earned a card on PGA Tour. That guy just went and won an event this season. In 3 events, he has a T4 and a win.
Right out the gate.
Right out of the gate. How is that guy not getting status? Not to mention, if we want to complain about a guy who were a homer for James Pyatt, wasn't even in the top 15. He's the U.S. amateur champion. That is the biggest golf event for any player coming out of college. That is the number one thing you want to win.
Yep.
You should earn some sort of status from it. Yes, you earn a start in the Masters where you have to stay an amateur. You can play in the U.S. Open as a pro. You still have to stay in AM for the Open champion. But, there needs to be an opportunity for top college players who especially play 4 years and, graduate, to quickly move on to the tour, especially as you're seeing Liv go and try to get some of these guys. We talked about James. He had nowhere to play. He's pretty much used a lot of his starts up. Yep. So it's either go to Latin America or make some money on the Liv Golf Tour and play with guys who are major champions and learn and develop. We just saw the number 2 amateur in the world, Eugenio Chichara, I might be butchering that name,
pretty close,
signed a deal with Liv Golf Tour this past week. He's making his professional debut because he said, this is better for me and my family. I don't really have as much status to go play anywhere else. Now, he would have gotten some starts, but he can't go play in PGA Tour U. I mean, he's going out early, but he couldn't do that stuff. Yep. So he'd have to earn it through his 7 sponsored exemptions, earn enough points to somehow play in one of these Korn Ferry playoff events or other stuff, and then play well, which, I just don't think it should be fully these guys should earn some status based on how good they are in college and some of their amateur ranking points. I get it. We're not just going to hand out starts to people.
Right.
We're not going to do those types of things. But my problem that stems from this are other guys on the tour who are getting starts over them. I talked about Omar freaking Uresti. I'm going to keep saying that name, but I'm going to in a second pull up a list because I'm going out a little bit of a rant.
I've even got I've got the list of guys, and I'll read some of the names off here to you. And these are guys that we've heard on the tour for a long time, that have honestly had a tough career, and and not to take shots at any of these guys. They've played decent amount of golf for a long time, but Doc Redman. Doc Redman, yes, he won the U.S. Amateur years ago. He finished solo second at the Detroit Rocket Mortgage Classic here in Michigan. But what has he done since then?
That's not even a guy who I have as huge of an issue with because I like to talk more about the young guys I'm fine with but you're right. That's a guy but he's earned his status on the tour at least through Monday qualifying and everything like that.
Right.
If I look at I'm just looking at true strokes gain data for the whole for the field this week in the John Deere freaking Classic, to mention some names who are playing in this event this week. John Senden, He's been on the tour. Like, he was on the tour for a long time. Like, that guy has no business playing in a PGA Tour event this week. William McGirt was playing last week. It doesn't have really any business. I mean, he just got T18. I get 1 week, but, like, let's see the young guys come up. Like, all these guys, like, Bo Van Pelt was playing a ton last year. Kevin Stadler, Matt Every, Brian Davis, John Merrick, Ricky Barnes, Sean Stefani, like, David Hearn. Why are these guys playing in these events over Pierceson Cootie and some of these guys, college players who are now turning pro? Give them starts. Yeah. Give them value. Like, that's the problem. Tommy freaking Gainey. I just saw his name in DJ Trahan. Like, these guys that were on the tour and, like, they were, like, kind of journeyman guys 10 years ago. And because they've played so many events and earned some amount of money, they still have this status. Like, that doesn't work in the NHL or the NFL. Like, oh, hey, you know, you've played enough games, Drew Brees, and that's, like, not a good example because he's a Hall of Famer, but, like, you've played enough games here, so we're just going to give you more starts as, you know, more games when you're 45 years old. And again, I get it. It's different than golf. Yeah. But, like, I don't see any reason why we're giving these guys starts over other people, not to mention their medical exemption standpoint, which, like, it's a good thing that they have these things, but there's just so many ways for guys to retain their cards and status for way too long that these young guys do not have opportunities to go anywhere and play. And that's why they're going to start losing more and more to this Live Golf Tour.
Yeah. And to me, like, I think one of the ways you can do it, and people are like, well, then you can't go to, like, some of these golf courses, but there's enough golf courses throughout the country that have 36 holes available. Or, like, I mean, we even seen, like, at, like, Pebble Beach, like, when they do the AT&T Pro-Am, like, they have teams and guys playing on 3 separate golf courses. Like, there's way to make these fields, like, have maybe 6 events throughout the year, go to a course that has 36 holes available, and essentially just make the double the fields and put guys on both courses. You have your cut after the weekend, and then you call it good. But, like, you're right. You're going to have a major issue with trying to captivate these young stars and get them to the PGA Tour quicker. I mean, who was it from the weekend that they kept talking about? Where'd he go? Cole Hammer.
That's a guy who I want to see play more.
Yeah.
He should be playing over fucking Ben Crane this week.
Right.
And nothing against Ben Crane.
Yeah, but it's like, again, like, you want to captivate the young audience. You want to captivate guys that are essentially like your and my age, and, like, we want to see the younger players go on tour. I want to see a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old on tour with a chance to win. Like, having their Boardson. Yeah, I'm not even trying to get it right because I know I can't pronounce it. I'm dumb. I'll accept that. But, like, having him in the hunt, like, the fans loved that this weekend at the Travelers. They were eating that shit up. He goes, I've never heard a crowd that loud for me ever. Mm-hmm. But, like, people like stories like that. So why wouldn't you want to try to capitalize on a story like that?
Exactly. So, all right, I'm going to go through 2 guys. Two players I want to go through, just their stats of, like, the recent years, and I'm ripping on Ben Crane just because I have him pulled up. He's played in 7 freaking events this year. 1 was on the Korn Ferry Tour, the other 6 on the PGA Tour. Their events, the Bermuda, the RSM Classic, the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, Puerto Rico Open, Mexico Open, and RBC Canadian Open. He has made 2 cuts, including a missed cut in the Korn Ferry event. Finished 63rd in T67. Last year, played in 2 events, missed 2 cuts. The year before that, withdrew, missed 2 cuts, had a T45, T61, and T18. Like, why is this guy still playing on the tour over Cole Hammer or over other people? Now, I'm going to go try to find my guy, Omar Uresti, because I mentioned his name 100 freaking times this podcast.
Yeah, ricochet shots to Uresti.
I know. But, like, I mean, that guy, he plays in the PGM championship, professional, like, the professional, like, you're a guy who is a teaching pro. Like, that guy who played on the PGA Tour was stealing starts that avenue. Why are we giving this dude status on the tour? I have no problem with the age. Like, Steve Stricker, I'm all for playing because he's won this event a bunch of times and he's actually a good player.
Yeah.
Omar Uresti is 54 years old. He's, like, played in Champions Tour events. He's played in 2 PGA events, missed both cuts this year. Last year, played in 5 PGA events, missed both cuts, or all 5 cuts. In 2020, played in 3 events, a 66th place finish, 2 missed cuts. By the way, the 66th place finish was at the Barracuda Championship. Like, no one cares about that. In 2019, a T71 and a 74th finish, 2 missed cuts. Like, I don't see why these guys are somehow able to stay in playing in these events over the young guys. And that's where the whole problem is.
Yeah.
And that's where hopefully they're figuring that out. And again, I think they haven't come out and said those things because I think they're still dealing with those aspects because they don't know them yet. They're obviously doing this really quickly, but like that's what the PGA Tour needs to do immediately. Is give these guys avenues to go make starts, even if it's the Korn Ferry guys. It doesn't have to be just college players, like top-notch Korn Ferry players. Like they need to have the ability to quickly move up and move on to the PGA Tour, so we can see some of these young guys quickly make it.
Yeah, and I think that's obviously going to be the next phase in all this, right? Because eventually, like the big stars from the PGA Tour, they're going to stop leaving. They're like, apparently you're going to hit, like the LIV Tour is going to hit their peak of guys that they can get, right? So what's their next move after that? You have your guys that are signed on for a certain amount of time. Like, all right, now we have to start going at like Cole Hammer. Like they're going to look at the PGA Tour or college golf and see like who the up and coming names and that people are focusing on. Like, hey, you want to come over here for $20 million? Like it's better than grinding the next 2-3 years on the PGA Tour or Korn Ferry Tour with no guarantee that you're going to make it to the PGA Tour.
Yeah. Like Pierce Session-Kuti, I'm literally looking. He's 31st on the Korn Ferry Tour's money list. And I get it. He's only played in 3 events, and people might be like, well, he's not played a full season yet. It's like, dude, he's won and had a T4. Like, at some point, look at a guy's skill set and give them more opportunities. And, like, if I'm him, I mean, he's been very adamant. He turned down opportunities to go play at LIV. He had a pretty lucrative offer because he said, I'm going to bet on myself. And lo and behold, it probably is going to work. He's probably going to play his way into the top 25 on the Korn Ferry Tour. But, like, he shouldn't have to take a spot from a guy on the Korn Ferry who played the full season there. They should just get some status right away, these dudes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are we doing? Like, that's where I just don't get. You win an event and you go from 100, like, a win and a 4th place finish in a 26 event season. Well, I feel like you could miss the cut in all the others. You should probably make it. And he hasn't yet. Yeah,
well, I mean, same time, too. Like, he's only played in 3 of the event. Like, so 2 out of 3, like...
Yeah.
That's pretty good batting average as far as top 10s go.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And it's a system that I think they're obviously going to work on figuring out. But, like, it seems like it's really hard to make it on the PGA Tour. And then when you do and you're these 25 guys, especially if you're, like, let's say 15 through 25, your status is shit again. Like, you're stuck playing in a lot of these crappy events, the B events of the week where, like, you don't even earn as many FedEx Cup points. You might be thrown back down because other guys have starts over you. It's just it pisses me off, and I think that's where they need to really transition things. And based on some of the things they said, it sounds like they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I challenge them because I know they're listening to us here. I challenge them to really find a way to get the younger stars access to the PGA Tour quicker.